Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to Gamerjoob, and welcome back to our Poppy Playtime character concept series. So in today's video, the character we've made is called Fearful Frog. So we'll go into this character's backstory, gameplay mechanics, and all that good stuff as well. But before we do any of that, do be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Gamerjoob as it helps a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also keeps you updated with the videos that we post. Alrighty, well with that all out of the way, let's get into the character concept of Fearful Frog. So, previously in our Poppy Playtime character concept series, we've been looking at the new and improved smiling critters known as the Joyful Critters. But these new critters have been anything but joyful. As the player has made their way through this new area, they've all tried to attack them at every corner. So far we've met Fun Fox, Koala Crybear, and Angry Anteater. Each of these twisted toy characters has it out for all the Playtime co-workers. Ever since they all suffered from the cruel treatment of these employees, they swore to destroy each and every last worker of this cursed factory. And unfortunately for the player, that includes them as well. But whenever the player encountered these joyful critters, they barely made it out in one piece. And things weren't going to get any easier. The further they travelled into the transferal facility, the more likely it would be they would meet a new dangerous joyful critter. But maybe not all these critters were so bad. Would it be so much to ask for a joyful critter who wasn't out to destroy the player? Well, they could only be so lucky, and maybe today could be their lucky day. But they won't know unless they travel further into the facility. So speaking of our newest joyful critter character, let's introduce him. So the next joyful critter is Fearful Frog. So hence the name, this was one afraid frog. His emotional trait and medallion was fear. Fearful Frog. Everything is scary. There's something lurking in the shadows. There's something hiding in the dark. Who knows what's out there? All you can do is hide from the monsters. Scent green apple. So Fearsome Frog was scared of a lot of things. He'd always be hiding away whenever he was scared of anything. Initially, the character wasn't meant to be scared and fearful. But some say that the poor soul that was transferred into this toy body was so terrified that it became their main emotion. So this being the case, the company came up with the idea for Fearful Frog. So as we've seen before, all the other joyful critters suffered at the hands of the workers. They were made to have their souls transferred bit by bit into their toy variants. But when it came to Fearful Frog, the workers couldn't get a hold of him. It seemed no matter where they looked, they simply couldn't find him. But little did they know, he would become an expert in hiding. He would mainly hide inside the air vents of the facility. Eventually, the cruel workers caught on to this and found out a way to lure him out of hiding. They realised that a specific music box would play a song that would relax Fearful Frog and make him not so afraid. This music box would lure him out of the vents and then the workers could catch him. When poor Fearful Frog was captured, he was then forced to endure the soul transferal procedure. But once all the joyful critters had escaped and taken their revenge, Fearful Frog did what he does best. In all the commotion, he tried to find a new place to hide. But he accidentally bumped into one of the workers. And in an instant, their special keycard flew off their neck and landed in Fearful Frog's mouth. He accidentally swallowed the keycard and ran off to hide. Now it seems that the special keycard is trapped inside his body, and the only way out of this area would be Fearful Frog himself. This was the reason why the cruel workers couldn't escape the mayhem. The only key to the safe area was hiding away. So now the workers were locked inside with the vengeful, joyful critters. And now if anyone wants to get out of here, they would need the keycard from Fearful Frog. But if he'd be brave enough to exit the vents is another story. Hopefully our player can overcome this obstacle. Speaking of, we now return back to the player. They find themselves standing in front of a bunch of deadly lasers. This must have been a safety protocol to protect the workers from the critters, but it seems like it backfired and trapped them inside. The player finds a note that explains the dire situation. It reads, "Find the frog. Fearful Frog is the key to getting to safety. If you can lure him out of hiding, get him to stand next to the scanners. His body will activate the switch and deactivate the lasers. But you need the music box. That's the only thing that'll make him brave enough. But good luck finding him. Search high and low and play the music box. Good luck." Attached to the note was the music box as well. So the player now needs to search this facility and try to lure out Fearful Frog. It shouldn't be too difficult, they just need to be patient and find out where he's hiding. So they walk around and play the music box. The player starts to get an idea of where he's hiding. They would need to listen out for his croaking whenever the music box stops playing. Finally, they pinpoint the air vent that he's hiding in. Slowly but surely, they lure him out with the gentle music. This joyful critter was definitely strange looking. He's very nervous and skittish around the player. They can't make any sudden moves or noises around him, because if they aren't careful, he'll go back straight into hiding. So the player needs to keep their distance and keep playing the music. There would be other obstacles that the player also needs to help Fearful Frog get through. If areas were dark, they would need to turn the lights on for him. And they would also need to remove anything that would block his path or potentially scare him. Eventually they lure Fearful Frog close enough to the laser switch. The card activates it from inside his body. Finally the lasers have been deactivated and they can make their way forward. Thanks to this scaredy little frog who was brave enough to crawl out of the vents. After seeing how nice the player has been, Fearful Frog didn't seem as afraid as he once was. He could tell that the player was different from all those who mistreated him and his friends. He lets the player walk through the long corridor of deactivated lasers. But suddenly, something scared Fearful Frog. A nearby air vent let out a hiss of air. This startled him and he jumped back towards the laser switch. And all of a sudden, the lasers started activating one by one in the player's direction. The player has to make a run for it before the lasers catch up with them. If they get caught by them, then they'll surely be destroyed on contact. So as quick as they can, they run away from the activating lasers. And surely enough, they make it out before the last one turns on. Fearful Frog didn't mean to turn them back on. It was an accident, and these scary lasers sent him back into the vents. For now, he was still his fearful self. But hopefully in the future, he'll be brave enough to conquer his fears. But until then, he'll be nice and safe in the vents. So now the player makes their way to the supposed safe area, but as to if that'll be the case, they'll just have to wait and see. So I think that Fearful Frog would be another great addition to our roster of characters. I think he offers an interesting gameplay mechanic and would also be a break from the threatening toys around the player. Although he's scared of everything, he doesn't seem to be afraid of the player, and hopefully he can see them once again and prove himself to be much more brave. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing, as it helps a lot and it's greatly appreciated. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of Fearful Frog and what you'd like to see going forward. As always, I'd just like to thank you all for watching, and also a big thank you to our Gamerjoob members as well. Alrighty everyone, well, to our next Poppy Playtime character concept video, I'll catch you later, bye.